Hello, and welcome back to Satisfactory Outpost in the Desert. In the last episode, we set up the first oil node, our oil extractor, and the first 10 refineries that it can supply. Those are all making plastic. That's this group of 10 refineries here, and the 5 on the other side. And let's take a look. So the refineries are outputting plastic on this belt here that are emerging on the belt above the pipes. The pipes are carrying the byproduct of heavy oil residue, and I've got the heavy oil residue flowing out here to a large fluid buffer. After the episode, I just continued that. I set up another cluster of 10 refineries, also making plastic, and I've got the heavy oil residue merging with the previous 10 and also collecting in that fluid buffer. So that's 20 so far. I should note that one oil node can only supply 10 refineries making plastic because of the limit of the um, pipe capacity. So here we have two more oil nodes. These are both pure, and I've overclocked them slightly so that they max out the pipe capacity at 300 cubic meters. And these two nodes will supply the next two clusters of refineries producing plastic. So that's 30 so far. Or 600 plastic per minute and 300 heavy oil residue per minute. And then over here we have the final 6 refineries making plastic. 3 here, 3 over here. And its output of heavy oil residue is merging into a second large fluid buffer right here. Now we're going to move on to rubber. We only need 6 refineries making rubber. If you use the alternate recipes, the demands for rubber are very low. So I've got crude oil coming in along this pipe that I'm jumping on. It's in the distance. I'm not sure you can see it. It's kind of foggy right now. There it is. So this oil extractor is pumping crude oil. That's a normal node, but I've overclocked it to max out the pipe capacity at 300. I suspect that in the future we'll see like Mark II pipes with a larger capacity. Now, I put a pump here. I'm not sure it's needed, but this is a long pipe, and I think the rule is that even if the pipe is totally level, if it's longer than the length of 9 full-length pipe sections, you need a pump to keep your flow maxed out. So I put a pipe there because it's a long pipe plus an incline. And now we're going to supply just this side of the refineries with the crude oil from that line. So we need 2 more here. 1, 2, then 1 more on the other side. And this will look very similar. Let's put guess we'll just use a conveyor pole. For now. Actually, the best way to... No, that's fine. Let's get some mergers. It really is hard to get a decent perspective to put this stuff down. Maybe we can try climbing the refinery. Yeah, this is good. So just try to center it. Actually, do we want it merging this way? Yeah, we do. That's fine. Wonder if that line is accurate. We'll use it. Okay. Mark 1 belts are fine for this. Okay. Now we need our pipes, because rubber also has the byproduct of heavy oil residue. Okay. Let's remove this conveyor pole now. Let's get a pipeline support. Run this pipe all the way over here. Alright. Actually, I think before... No, we'll try to eyeball it. Need a lot of junctions. Okay. Go back to vertical mode. Okay. I feel like we could probably center the junctions. Yeah, we totally could. Oh, no, there's clipping. We don't want to do that. Good. So this will be the rubber setup. We'll just need to supply it with some power. This small setup will produce 120 rubber per minute and 120 heavy oil residue per minute. The rubber recipe produces twice as much heavy oil per minute as the plastic recipe. Okay, power line. Let's move this up to a Mark II. We'll put another Mark II over here. Okay, we're making rubber. Now, our final group of refineries in this section is going to be just boosting our heavy oil residue production. Heavy oil residue is what we will be using for turbo fuel, Turbo fuel it will power our entire factory. So we need a fair amount of it for the setup that I have planned here. It's going to be 120 fuel generators, all burning turbo fuel. Each fuel generator produces 150 megawatts. So that's 18,000 megawatts or 18 gigawatts of electricity for the factory. I think that'll be fine. We can always add some geothermals later if we need to augment it a little bit. But each fuel generator consumes 4.5 turbo fuel per minute. So that means we need 580 turbo fuel per minute to supply the fuel generators. And that means to make 580 turbo fuel per minute, that will require 675 of the heavy oil residue per minute. So between these 6 refineries producing rubber, that's 120 heavy oil residue, our 36 refineries making plastic, each at 10 heavy oil residue per minute, that's 360. So, 120, 360, that's 480. We're not at the required 675 yet. Fortunately, there's a recipe that turns crude oil directly into heavy oil residue. Right here. 3 crude oil, or 30 per minute, will yield 40 heavy oil residue and 20 polymer resin every minute. So we're going to put down 8 refineries using this recipe. Production, refinery, okay, so we need 7 more. Let's make sure it's aligned. There we go. Okay, there's 8. Let's set up our recipes. I don't know why it's in unpackaging. It's a weird place to put the recipe. Doesn't seem to fit that category. Okay. Now we're going to use the crude oil from the previous node. It's going to supply crude oil to all of the refineries on this side. They all require 30 per minute. We've got 300 crude oil in this pipe per minute. So we can just put down junctions. How many spaces out over here? 2? Yeah, 2. So we'll put down junctions and just apply this entire side. done. And all of the crude oil on this side will be coming from this oil extractor. It's also normal. It's also got 3 power shards, taking it up to 300 cubic meters of crude oil per minute. Disconnect the pipes. Okay, this is a little tricky. Wonder. Well, we'll deal with that in a second. Okay, this side is done. Actually, how many is that? That's 3, 7. Alright. So we need to connect these 3 refineries as well. This is the last 3 refineries on this side producing plastic. It'll be 3 plastic refineries plus 4 heavy oil refineries plus 3 rubber refineries on each side, being supplied by 1 oil extractor each. I think the easiest thing to do is just to lift this up. Maybe 2 to avoid clipping. It's still not great. We'll need to raise this one as well. Using Mark IV belts for this, even though they really need Mark V if every refinery were connected. There we go. Now we can just bring this pipe down. And the same thing on the other side. Okay, no clipping. Excellent. Okay, so these should all be producing rubber now. Yeah, good. Now we need to deal with the outputs for our heavy oil refineries. The solid output of polymer resin, that's easy to deal with. We can just mimic the same setup as before. Conveyor pole. Conveyor pole. It's producing 20 per minute. Times 8, that's 80 per minute. So you can use a Mark III belt, that's fine. I'm going to merge to the east. I need to climb back up, I think. Because if you're near enough, even if you're super high, sometimes you'll still get that teal line that can help you with alignment. Okay, so that's all of our polymer resin connections. And now we need to deal with the main product here, the heavy oil residue. But it gets a little bit tricky here. What needs to happen are these are the two pipes that will carry the heavy oil out, right? Because if each refinery producing heavy oil produces at a rate of 40 per minute, and there are 8 of them, that's 320 heavy oil residue per minute. But pipes are limited to 300 cubic meters per minute, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to combine the heavy oil from our rubber refineries with the heavy oil from just the first 2 of the heavy oil refineries. And we'll put those in this lower pipe going out of the refinery area. Let's get a junction. Okay. That's the easy part. Vertical mode, we need junctions. Alright. Now the difficult part. We're going to need to use we need to use a stackable pipeline here. We'll just put it right on top of it. Come on. These are hard to place sometimes. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's annoying. We'll need to remove our mergers and put the pipeline under it first, because we learned that last episode. Okay. Stackable pipeline. Okay. We'll go ahead and add our junctions and our pipes, and then we'll re-add our mergers. think we probably could have gotten by with half of the number of junctions for this part, but it's fine. Okay, now we just need to re-add those mergers. And the belts. Okay, looks like we avoided any clipping issues. As I say that, there's a clipping issue. But it looks like it's just here. We just need to move this merger over a little bit. There we go. Okay. Wait, this is our belt for polymer resin, producing 20 per minute times 8 is 160 per minute. So Mark III belt's fine. Just need to get this. I wish there was a. Can I put a conveyor pole here? Let's see. Where do we want that going? Okay. So it needs to be right here. There we go. Belt. And we'll just lift it up. Okay. So these need power. Oh yikes, that's not pretty. We'll change that a little bit. It's falling right through that belt. Okay, we'll make these Mark IIs. I'm worried about our power grid. Where are we at? Okay, we're fine for now. Of course, once all of these turn on, we could be in trouble. You know, right now we've got a lot of our outputs are stalled because they don't have any like storage containers. Okay, so here is the polymer resin. It looks kind of cool. We're going to deal with this in just a second. And now let's grab our rubber line. this works. Raise it up. Right here. Okay. So we've got our plastic coming from, from the far west. It'll be output into this belt. We'll take it over here. We're going to set up our train stations over in that area near where we hypertubed in from. So there's the plastic line. Here's the rubber line. We just need to connect it in a way that looks better than that. Okay. There we go. Now for the polymer resin. Polymer resin can be used in a few ways. We can turn it back into, we can actually use the resin from heavy oil to make plastic or rubber. And so just to not have to, some people I've seen, they've just been feeding the resin into an awesome sink, for coupons. You can do that if you want. I'd rather just convert it into more plastic and more rubber, and then not have to deal with any, extra products like polymer resin that are basically useless. If you're not turning it into plastic or rubber, you're just feeding it into the awesome sink. So the recipe is 60 polymer resin per minute plus 20 water per minute yields 20 plastic per minute. So it's the same yield as the recipe, using crude oil. And for rubber, recipe is 40 polymer resin plus 40 water per minute yields 20 rubber. So we have 8 refineries producing 20 polymer resin per minute. That's 160. So from that we can have 2 refineries making plastic at, what did I say, 60 each? Yeah, 60 each. So that's 160 minus 120 is 40 left, which leaves us exactly enough to supply 1 refinery making rubber. It's 40 water per minute plus 20, that's 80 water per minute. 1 water extractor produces 120 cubic water per minute. That's without power shards, so we'll just hook that up. Now we need some power over here. Make this a Mark II. And the power lines will reach. Okay, excellent. Now we can just see I had the rubber and the plastic output to this side of the refineries because it makes it super easy just to merge these outputs onto the belts. Let's put a merger here. Actually, what's the best way to do this? See if this is too steep. All right. Let's see if we can align that a little bit better. There we go. Now we'll add our conveyor pulls back. So this is plastic, and this is plastic. And then this is rubber. Let's just put a merger right here. Okay. So we have 36 refineries producing 20 plastic per minute. That's 720 plastic per minute, plus 2 more producing 20 plastic per minute from polymer resin. That would be 740, 760 per minute. The capacity for Mark V belt is 780, so all of this plastic output will fit on one Mark V belt once we have access to them. And plastic or rubber output is much less, so that's not even a concern. So there's one more thing to do over here, and that's to set up. Oh, we need to connect these pipes. Yikes. Can we just do we want to turn it? Stackable. There we go. I'll have to place that merger one more time. Hopefully they'll fix that issue. And a future hotfix. Okay. No clipping. No clipping. Great. Okay, so let's take a look at our heavy oil. We have 6 producing 20 per minute. That's 120. Plus these 2, which are producing 40 per minute. So that's 120 plus 40 plus 40, that's 200. And that's the lower pipe. So this lower pipe here contains 200 heavy oil residue per minute. The upper pipe has the remaining 6 at 40 per minute. So that's 240 heavy oil per minute in this upper pipe. And all of these 36 refineries producing 10 per minute, that's 360. That's too much for one pipe. Fortunately, there's one more product that we need from heavy oil, and that's petroleum coke. Petroleum coke is used in making alkali aluminum sheets, which are used for the Tier 5 belts, Mark V belts. So I'm just going to go ahead and make them right over here, right at the beginning of the line. Let's see. Let's get a refinery up. Look at the recipe. Okay. Petroleum coke. 40 heavy oil residue per minute. Produces 120 petroleum coke per minute. And I know from looking ahead that 120 petroleum coke per minute can produce 120 alkylate aluminum sheets per minute. So for now, we're going to put down 3 refineries producing petroleum coke, which should get us to 360 alkylate aluminum sheets per minute, which I think will be sufficient. Set up our recipes. Petroleum coke. Petroleum coke. Let's make this a Mark II power pole. Power these up. And supply it with some heavy oil residue. Okay, easy. I'm just gonna merge these all for now into this, and even though I just like denigrated everyone saying, or everyone using the awesome sinks, for now there's literally no use for petroleum coke. But we know it's coming. We know that eventually there will be, once we reach tier 7, like it's already in game, we just need to unlock tier 7 and start making alkaline aluminum sheets. And we'll need all of this petroleum coke for that. So we can use a Mark III belt here for this connection. That's 120. This will be 120. So this is 240, which is the maximum amount of capacity for a Mark III belt. This is 120. But now we need a Mark IV belt, because this will have to handle 360 petroleum coke per minute. So I'm going to set this up in a industrial storage container. I'm also going to put an awesome sink right here. And I'm going to use a Mark III belt. Now let's use. Do we have any? Yeah, let's use a Mark II belt. So if this is running at max capacity, we'll be producing 360 petroleum coke per minute, and we'll be disposing of 120 petroleum coke per minute. So we're consuming it at a slower rate than we're producing it. That way we build up a stockpile at least, because I'd like to have a stockpile ready for when we reach that point in the game. And once we reach that point, we'll just remove the awesome sink. But for now, why not collect coupons? Okay, so back to the issue of heavy oil residue. That's 360 from our 36 plastic refineries, minus 120, 240 is left. So this pipe that I'm standing on, 240 heavy oil per minute. Now, you see, I'm collecting them in like a total of 4 of the large fluid buffers. And I want to do that because the heavy oil will be used for making our turbo fuel. And if any of the other lines get backed up, it's a really good idea to have just a stockpile of the heavy oil residue, so that you can keep producing turbo fuel, keep powering your factory. You don't need to worry about like a power outage. Now, all of this we piped quite a bit away to our refineries that will be making the turbo fuel. So I went ahead and I put 3 pipes, 1 pipe for each of these 3 lines. And I had to, kind of like space them out just so we could avoid the clipping. But one thing to remember with pipes is that pumps do not suck oil through the pipes, they push it. So you want to put them in the, place them appropriately. I tried to stack these all up, but it was a nightmare of clipping. It didn't look very cool. So I think side by side is the way to go here. So they'll pump, man, I've forgotten which pipe is which. 2 of these pipes have 240, and 1 pipe has 200. I think 200 is the one coming from our rubber, right? 120 plus 80. So let's identify that pipe just so we know where it is. It's the lower pipe here. Okay, so it's the leftmost pipe, the northern pipe is 200, and the center and the southern pipe have 240 each. So these 3 pipes will all feed 18 turbo fuel refineries. So let's place the rest of those now. For some reason, I have some of these facing the right way and some of them facing the wrong way. I'm trying to remember, I feel like, I don't remember how I wanted to set this up, because unlike our previous refineries, which were fed just with crude oil, these need to be fed with both the heavy oil residue and also compacted coal. I think facing inward is still the way to go. Yeah, okay. So we need to face them inward. So these need to be flipped. Not quite. There we go. I need some more pipes here. Or more copper sheets, rather. Okay, that should be 9. That says 12. I must have highlighted something else. There's no way that's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. So let's take a look at the recipe. Recipe we're using for turbo fuel. It's the alternate recipe using heavy oil. Each refinery requires 37.5 cubic meters of heavy oil per minute and 30 compacted coal per minute to produce 30 cubic meters of turbo fuel per minute. So 18 times 30 is too much for 1 pipe. That's 540. That's the total amount, right? So we'll have to split the output between 2 pipes. Easy to do. easy to do. Yeah, and I think we will stack them. It's not a big deal either way. Let's get a stackable pipeline. Put it here. That's fine. Okay, we need to run over and get some more copper sheets. We've got them. I thought we did. Oh no. Out of copper sheets. We'll check one more spot. I thought that I had brought enough materials over, but when you're laying down this much pipe, you really require a lot of copper sheets. This hybrid tube just takes me over to the other side of the oil outpost. It's yeah, pretty large, you know, surface area. Okay, excellent. In the next episodes, the next episode after this will be quickly setting up an outpost to make compacted coal. That'll be super fast. It'll take like 10 minutes tops, and and then we'll see our first trains. I'm not totally sure yet if we'll have the compacted coal go to like an intermediate stop at the storage facility that we haven't built yet, and then come to our oil outposts to feed the refineries making turbo fuel. I suspect we'll just bring it directly because there's really not another use for compacted coal that's important. I mean, you can use it in a few things. You know, you can use it for it has other uses, but none that are like really necessary or worthwhile, I guess I should say. So, to me, it makes sense to bring the compacted coal directly here by train, and then set up our fuel generators, and we'll be set on power for the duration of this build. Okay, so there are the pipes that will carry the turbo fuel. Is that 9? Great. Okay, so merging them's easy. You know, we'll just probably merge like the northern side on one pipe, the southern side on the other pipe. Yeah. These these troughs are great for the pipes, but just do a lot of jumping. I really want to just stand on top of this pipe. Let's get our jetpack. Okay. Logistics. Junction. So the northern side will merge onto the upper pipe. Southern side will merge to the lower pipe. It's a game save hitch. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then for the inputs, we can just set them up like we did for our coal generators. You know, you had to feed them with coal and water. So we'll just have I don't remember how far back it was, but we'll go farther back. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be good. Because you want to leave it enough room because we're going to have our compacted coal on a belt above this. Let's use a stackable conveyor pole actually. Yeah. Okay. This will be a Mark IV belt. You know, I'm not crazy about the clipping, but I think in this case it's just a necessary evil. Oh god, that's really bad. So we'll feed them with heavy oil from the pipes, and then we'll have mergers. Oh god, the mergers are going to be even worse. Or splitters, rather. Too steep. That's because it's not aligned, right? You know what? That's too much clipping. Let's take it up one more. And we can use Mark I conveyor lift here. Put a splitter. Yeah, there we go. Well, I think you get the idea. Just hit an hour, so we'll end the episode here. Thanks for watching. We've got a lot done this episode. All of our rubber heavy oil, polymer resin, petroleum coke, all done. We're ready to make turbo fuel. And we'll start next episode. We'll start the next episode by um, setting up our compacted coal outpost. So thanks for watching. Keep hitting that like button, and I'll see you all in the next episode.